Hello, my name is Rob Schaff. I'm a digital cartoonist who draws digitally primarily, and I wanted to talk to you about this. This is the Stream Deck. It is actually like a tiny little keyboard. 1, 2, 3 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 buttons on there, and actually each little button is a little screen, and you can program them to do whatever you want. And this is, I think, the most underrated and awesome tool if you like to draw digitally or if you're some form of digital creator. I wanted to make a quick video explaining just some of its functionality using the app and just how I use it practically. All right, so the Stream Deck configuration thing is awesome. Makes it really easy to assign these buttons right here to do a bunch of different things that you want it to do. But what I primarily use this for is for assigning my own hotkeys. So if you have a keystroke on a keyboard that you would typically use to get something done, like Control C, Control V, whatever, you can assign any keystroke that you want to do just with the press of one button. So it can actually do some pretty complicated things, but I use it pretty simply. Okay, so when I'm using this as my art setup, it's pretty simple. I don't like using these buttons on the side because I don't like moving my hand up and down to hit the button that I want. Right here, I can just barely move and I get all of them. So of course I have my brush, I have my undo button, so I can go brush or pencil or brush, switch back and forth. Switch here for the eraser or undo. I'm going to use my vector eraser because I want to clear it all. Very nice. So, you can draw whatever you want. And then you can very easily switch back and forth between the keys that you want to do, right? Oh, I'm not getting that line right. Anyway, for filling, just fill. And then, of course, I can zoom with my hand on here. I can move around, zoom out, rotate, zoom, etc. It just makes it really easy to navigate around the canvas, and I love it. I wanted to run over some of the functionality in the Stream Deck app. Up here you have different sort of pre-installed plugins that came with the program. I installed the Zoom plugin myself, but it came with Twitter, Control Center, OSC Remote, all of these ones up on the corner here. The ones that I primarily use are System, Stream Deck, and OBS Studio, and some of the other ones. But it's really cool because you have all of these different baked-in functions into the Stream Deck that make it really easy to program it to do exactly what you want it to do. So you can do everything from launching apps to opening websites to triggering a hotkey or like a hotkey, or playing multimedia, or just controlling different apps in different ways. It's pretty awesome. Some apps like Zoom, for example, if you're doing Zoom meetings, the Zoom integration is really awesome. In the Stream Deck app, if you click this button right here, you can find a lot more plugins and icons, plugins especially for different apps, right? Like, so you're like, oh, I want to use Twitch, or I want to use Discord, or I want to use whatever, YouTube. I want to have specific controls in a specific app, and I want to be able to use them at any time, no matter what app I'm in, just to press the button. Cool thing about that is that these are hotkeys that will work in that app without having to have that app be active. So, for example, when I'm using my Clip Studio setup that I have here, if I'm not on Clip Studio, all of these buttons will use those keystrokes for whatever app is open. So, like, let's say I leave this open and I'm using Safari. Well, like, some of these are going to have some wonky effects in Safari. They're not going to... But the thing is, when I'm drawing in Clip Studio, I tend to be in Clip Studio. I don't want to select a brush in a different app, so it doesn't really matter. It works fine for me to use the hotkeys the way that it is. But for Zoom is an app where you're like, oh, I'm in a meeting, but I also usually, if we're being honest, are doing something else while we're in that meeting. And so it's really handy that the Zoom hotkeys work in Zoom no matter what app you're in. The same is true with OBS. If you use the OBS setup, like the OBS Studio presets here, it'll trigger OBS no matter what app you're in, and that's pretty awesome. When I'm not using it for drawing, I use it for launching web pages and basically just making my life easier. I wanted to show you how I would go about setting up a new program's worth of shortcuts and hotkeys. So what you do is you come over here to your menu. I would start with the Stream Deck, and I would create a folder. So I just drag that over, and I want it to be Logic. I want it to be like a Logic. So when I look at the pictures, I'm like, I want to select Logic, so I don't have to remember where everything is, right? So what I would do is they have their own icon library, but it's kind of garbage. I don't really like it. So what I would do is I would go to Google, Logic Pro icon, and there we go. So some images have popped up. And is this, I'm going to rip these off. Is that morally dubious? Maybe. This one I like because it has a white background and it looks enough like the Logic logo. So what I would do then is I would hit screenshot, and I would take a square screenshot of this 430 by 430. It doesn't actually matter. Close enough. There we go. Capture. Okay, now that I have that, I go back to over here, pull up the configure Stream Deck. Then I hit that little down arrow, set from file, and I select the screenshot that I took. Hit open, and there you go. Now it looks like a little Logic button, and I can see what it is, and that's awesome. So then, hit that. Now, I want to launch the Logic app from the Logic button. Okay, so what you want to do is go to the system option over here. So you have system right here, and you're going to go open. So you pull this in the corner, hit open, and then you want to choose from your applications, Logic Pro. There it is. Choose, and it'll bring the icon automatically. It also adds the title, which I don't like when the text is there because I want it to be visual. So just delete the title, and then it's there. So now if we press this button, boop, some things that I want, some specific buttons that I want to add in Logic would be undo. So what we do then is just system. I'm going to put in a hotkey. So I drag this over, and I'm going to put it down here. So I want it to be undo. And usually for this one, let's use a Steam Deck icon because they are, like little things like undo. You're going to be able to find one that you like that looks like undo. So I'm just scrolling. I'm going to put this for my undo like icon. And then you click down here, hotkey, click to assign. And I would go Control Z or Apple Z or Command Z or whatever that button means. There we go. So now I have my undo button. So in Logic, I set up undo, I set up play, pause, which is the space button, and then select all, which are a bunch of keystrokes that I use pretty much every time. It's super annoying to have to put them in on a keyboard. I also use it for launching apps generally, as well as for, I already showed you the zoom controls, OBS controls. I made a pretty one, which is just animated little pictures for my daughters to look at. I got iMovie set up for my daughter if she wants to use it. I also had a smaller version that only had 6 buttons. I liked it, but I like having more buttons better because you just don't have to navigate menus and stuff as much. So it was really cool. I think everybody should get one. That's the Stream Deck. Thanks for watching.